If you want to support me on Patreon, click the element on the end screen.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Tyler from Animator Kid. I'm here with Louis Jerome. You know him, you love him.
Minor Louis right here, man.
Yeah. And what we're doing today, we're going to be giving our thoughts on Avengers Endgame. Now you might be wondering how come we didn't release this closer to when the movie came out like most other reviewers.
We have lives.
Yeah, we have lives. We've been working. We've been getting paid doing jobs. So that's one reason. But also, this isn't going to be, I guess, a traditional review. We'll pretty much be giving our thoughts in kind of like an open-ended kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we will be going through the plot. Not really scene by scene, but I guess group of scenes by group of scenes, and we'll be giving our thoughts on that and talking about our general thoughts on the film. So let's get started. So we open on Clint Barton, Hawkeye, with his daughter, and they're training archery at their homestead in whatever is it, upstate New York or something. I don't know.
Some grassland place, and then it hits you.
It hits you. Life comes at you fast.
He's like, "Oh my God, where are they at?"
Yeah, and it's so strange to see this happening. But also I kind of had issues though with like it's daylight when it happens in Wakanda. It's also daylight in North America, but they got a little leeway. It could be morning and afternoon or morning and evening. You know.
But with that scene though, I like how they made us remember, hey, the good guys didn't win this time.
Yeah,
That
they
was
did
really
they did the same thing as the post-credits scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym and Hope all kind of disappear off screen, and we see their dust as the result of that. And Scott's trapped, and so he'll come back into play, of course, in the first act of this film. Yeah. Pretty chilling, and this is where we see the origin of Hawkeye becoming, I guess in the comics he's called Ronin, the samurai guy, and he's basically doing bad things,
Going rogue.
Right, going rogue pretty much. But a pretty effective opening, and that leads us directly into Stark is in space with Nebula, who
And that was a good foreshadow.
Oh yeah, that was that scene. I mean, they screened this movie to like reviewers like the first 15 minutes. This was like when they were doing post-production, and people were saying, "Look, this first part of this first act is really effective, and it's it's emotional. The score, you can tell they actually put some effort into it this time." And just like with their previous few films, they've been upping that department. But yeah, Stark's in space. This was in the trailer. And he's on his last leg. I mean, food and water are running out. He does get saved by Captain Marvel, which a lot of people predicted would happen. I figured that was pretty,
See, I didn't think that was gonna happen.
You didn't?
I thought he
You
was
didn't
gonna
think?
figure something out with Nebula.
Oh yeah. Well, they were trying. I mean, they were trying their best, but she would have outlived him because she's got cybernetic implants or whatever. But like. No, he was saved. They were both saved by Captain Marvel, brought them to Earth where they were reunited with the other Avengers at the Avengers facility post-snap. They figure out, I guess, what to do with Thanos, right?
And then it leads to that scene where they go and find him.
They go and find him. This is pretty quick,
Now, my problem with that scene was that they killed them off like that. Like, they made it so easy.
Yeah,
And
well...
we had Infinity War seem so difficult.
Yeah.
And
you should have gone for the head. Well, he did this time.
Yeah, and the glove too, he destroyed it. He was like, "Oh, I just destroyed the stones."
Yeah, it's kind of the way they treat Thanos in this film. Some people have had issues with. I think it's not the optimal way they could have done it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But it is, it's pretty quick, and it does get us. I think the fact that they do kill him off so quickly and then show that 5 years later, by the way, this whole thing will be filled with spoilers, that 5 years later, nothing's changed. In fact, things have arguably gotten worse.
Yeah.
I think that narratively kind of works,
Because it showed them that this can't be reversed. No matter what, unless
Yeah, I mean,
that one.
50% of the population is still gone on every planet in the
The
the universe. Rogers, Captain America is, kind of leading this support group, which is something that Falcon had been doing in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So kind of mirroring that, paralleling that, and he's kind of trying to keep up this faux or this facade of silver lining. Look at the bright side, but he knows that
Shit's sad.
he knows that the world is decimated.
Yeah.
And of course, Black Widow, who does return to her hair color, her red hair color, which I think worked for this film.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't really buy the blonde.
I like the red hair, man.
Yeah.
I really like it. Suits her.
It does. I mean, it's what her character has become identified with.
Yeah.
Which I think it works. She's obviously much less optimistic about the way things are going, but at this point, I think Captain Marvel, Rocket, and they're both off-world, I guess. Yeah, they're both off-world, kind of dealing with other stuff. Let's talk about Captain Marvel for a minute. And this is, at this point, I don't know if we can maybe save her final part for the end when we get to that, but she does not do much in this film. She does save Tony and Nebula, but she does not do much in this film.
Like, she literally was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go figure out some stuff.
I'm not gonna be there,
Yeah, I'm gonna go help out, the other planets and solve that." And I'm just like, before we help any other alien species, let's fix Earth for a second.
Can we focus on Earth?
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair to her, she does have a point, because Earth, in terms of like the galactic, intergalactic, political order, is not very high in the totem pole. I mean,
it's not. It's the hood.
It's the hood of the galaxy. A lot of the space stuff in Marvel takes place in Andromeda as opposed to the Milky Way, which I didn't realize, and I think James Gunn confirmed it.
Wow.
So like the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not even guarding our galaxy; they're guarding another galaxy. So after we see how the Avengers are faring, or some of the Avengers are faring after 5 years, a rat brings Scott Lang back from the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Which I can only imagine when, what's his name, Doctor Strange was looking at the possibilities. I guess there really only was one.
I know.
Out of 14,605,000. So yeah, a rat walks across a computer console or whatever. And it brings Scott back. So for him, it's only been a few hours. However, for the rest of the world, it's been 5 years, because the quantum realm
time is
different. Now, people have said, how come Janet Van Dyne, aged like she did, in her film, and yet Scott didn't? Well, there's two answers to that. The first answer is that it would look weird with old ass Mark Douglas, and a wife who hasn't aged. Although they could sell that, I don't know. It'd be difficult.
It'd be hard, dude.
But the in-universe answer is that time just is weird. It's
different.
It works differently in there. So.
Side note: the way that they the one possibility of it being somewhat time travel. I like how they use real world because real world science, because when you do go in the quantum realm, things do happen. You have superpositioning. You have stuff to where an atom could be at this point in time, and another atom could be at this point in time, going in the same direction.
They're entangled and everything.
Yeah.
So they do. Yeah, you're right. They incorporate real world quantum physics into this film's plot, and they had to be very careful doing that, because you when other shows go back in time, it's kind of like. It's like the you guys couldn't figure out any other way to kill this villain, right?
So you guys are just doing the cliche, let's go back in time.
Yeah, that was a big concern with this film, because we knew early on, because they had leaked set photos of Scott and Captain America and Tony Stark at the Battle of New York. So they thought, okay, so we are going to do time travel. However, the way they handled it, I think,
really good.
It was really good. It was really interesting, and it was different.
Yeah, and it was. Like kind of real,
Yeah.
We just don't have the technology yet.
So we will delve deeper into the time travel mechanics here in a minute. So Scott he's back. He realizes that something's not right, and I guess he collects that it's been 5 years or some time has passed. He's going, around the city,
street, talking to this kid.
and he comes up to a house, knocks on the door, and it's this, I'm guessing, teenager or young adult, and it's Cassie.
Yeah,
it's his
that
daughter.
is so sad,
and that is pretty sad, but it's also sweet, So they like to Marvel likes to drop these little moments into their scripts to make, and it works. It works narratively. It works emotionally, so that I'll have some choice words about the time differences, as we approach the end of the plot. But let's keep going. So he goes to the Avengers facility in New York. I guess he drives cross country or shrinks his car or something like that.
He does something, man.
Or his van. And of course this is also in the trailer. But like he's there. So they let him in. He explains what's been going on because he knows the team. He knows Captain America. They fought together in Berlin, a few years prior. And so he says he pretty much has, I guess, an idea for a time travel device, right? But they need another mind to come in and help work on it. So we meet Professor Hulk, and none of us expected this. I don't think.
I did not expect that.
None of us expected him to be just like casually talking with Mark Ruffalo's voice, in Hulk's body. And this is a continuation of, I guess, the humanizing of Hulk that we saw hinted at in Ragnarok, taken to its logical end, or illogical. I don't know.
It was just so weird.
But it is weird, but it's funny,
Yeah.
So Hulk dabs. Professor Hulk dabs. Did not expect
pictures with kids.
Yeah. By the way, I guess anarchy did not take over the world. Like, people are still going to coffee shops and I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Like, how would that be in
well,
real
it's
world?
just like, this is kind of a morbid analogy, but it's just like, okay, there's countries in the Middle East that are war zones, and yet there are other parts of the country where people go about their daily lives, like Iraq, for example. Iraq is a war zone. It's, bloody fighting in the streets, ISIS and everything, but there are still people who like go to concerts. I mean, it's weird. It's weird to think about, but people have lives there. They have a functioning government, somewhat, I guess.
Yeah.
But like normal people do normal people things. They like make YouTube videos. It's weird to think about. But,
Wow, that's a really good point to bring up.
So that's why I can imagine, especially after 5 years, the world kind of stabilizes somewhat.
Yeah. Because I feel like the first 2 years will be kind of weird, That's like half the government vacant. So
it's just like in Star Trek, First Contact. It takes place after World War III has decimated the world, and governments are cease to exist, and people are hiding out in like bunkers in Montana. This is kind of like that, except a little more stable, I guess.
Yeah.
Because instead of, I don't know. More people died in Infinity War than would have died in a World War III scenario. Nuclear weapons. But like, anyway, they meet with Hulk, and he agrees to help them. And I guess they do a round of experiments, a round of tests where they shrink Scott into the quantum realm, and they bring him back.
He's a
and
baby.
they have a sequence where he's like, he's young, and then he's old, and then he's a baby.
He's like, "Why pee my pants?"
Yeah,
or poop my pants. That was really fun.
Yeah, so that part was kind of, you had to just kind of turn your brain off and think, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's a bit,
Towards the plot,
it's a comedic bit,
yeah.
Which Marvel kind of struggles with comedy in their films. It can be overdone. I think it was overdone in Infinity War. You said in Guardians 2 you thought it was overdone.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's all about balance.
Yes.
And I want to say they still kind of fall a little short in this film, but that's really, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not. It's
means.
manageable, man. Like you.
Yeah. You can ignore it.
Yeah.
So after the first round of tests, they go to Stark's home in, again, upstate New York, wherever the hell it is, and they try to convince him to join in on this thing.
He's just like, no.
He's like, no, because
I got a kid.
he has a daughter, for him,
he doesn't want any more people to get involved.
yeah, for him, his future, his present is not as dystopian as as it is for everybody else, because he has what he's wanted: a family, kid and everything, simple life, a simple life on a ranch.
But that's kind of crazy. Like they brought that into the movie. Like it's showing us that like even like superheroes, they want their own things.
Yeah,
like,
which is Clint's arc, really. And we see him too.
And it's so crazy how like he had to sacrifice. It was like, okay, I have to think about the greater good of the universe, pretty much. You know? I have to, because we all know what happens,
Right.
So he had like literally it was him, and he has to like give all that up just to say, hey, I gotta save the world.
Yeah.
So it shows that hey, superheroes really don't have it easy.
He does reconsider because he invents time travel.
Yeah.
Just like overnight. So obviously this is something that would have been in development for a really long time, even in universe. But like again, these kinds of things, for if they're gonna do time travel, the way that they do it, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I mean you kind of have to suspend disbelief. It's like, okay, he makes this ring that helps them, or this quantum GPS or whatever that helps them go through. I mean, okay, sure.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I can let that slide.
That's fine. I mean, this is a movie about superheroes.
Yeah. So
let's not be too picky.
Yeah.
About it. But he does invent time travel. It's a tool to aid with the quantum realm device or whatever, the shrinking device. Mm-hmm. And so that's how they're going to go back in time. They formulate a plan, really. But actually, before that, we have a visitor.
Oh.
It's your favorite cat.
Oh, hey. Y'all can't see her.
No, but she's there. I'll put a picture, overlay a picture. So, anyway, so Natasha goes to get Clint, who is murdering people in Japan, and the cat is opening the door to exit. But he's killing people in Japan. Now, people have complained about this because they get reports that he's like killing people in Mexico, like doing violence with drug cartels and everything. People have said, how come he's only killing brown people?
We literally just have a scene of him killing like a Japanese mafia?
Yeah.
So I mean, bro, y'all gotta take it easy with these. This comes from a black guy now. Like, I need to start.
I'll let you answer the question because I don't think people are gonna care what I have to say about it. But,
look, y'all gonna have to chill with this race stuff because it's just a movie, man. Like,
it did not enter my mind at all, nor did it enter the mind of any of the two guys that I go to see, Xander and Mike, who I go to see all these movies with them, and that didn't cross their mind.
Yeah, it didn't cross my mind. I'm a black dude, guys. Like whoever's behind the screen, y'all really need to get a life.
At no point is it established that what he's doing is good, right? You
know,
he's okay. It doesn't matter who he's killing. Killing is not good.
Not
good.
Yes.
No. So anyway, Natasha, basically convinces him to join on their mission because they need all the hands they can get. They have X amount of Pym particles or whatever to go back in time. They go to get Thor. So Hulk goes with, I guess, Rocket to get Thor in Norway, which I actually kind of thought they were going to do this, have New Asgard. I didn't know it was going to be on Earth, but
because when they had that little town Asgard, I was like, this boy must have really dropped it down a notch.
But Valkyrie's there, and I had a feeling she would appear in this film. She was really one of the best parts of Ragnarok too. But she's basically like their leader, or actually no, not yet. She becomes a leader. Thor is still the king, technically.
Yeah.
However, let's see what's happened to our king. Thor has grown a beer belly and is playing Fortnite with Korg and Meek.
And drinking.
And poning Noobmaster 69. Again, if this stuff, actually I talked with Mackenzie because I asked him if he'd seen it, and he said he wasn't as interested as he wanted me to spoil it. I told him about dabbing Professor Hulk and Thor playing Fortnite. He didn't challenge me. He said, "Oh, that sounds cool."
Really?
So I thought for sure he was going to be like, "You're kidding," but no, this is real.
See, I think that was just them trying to comedic relief.
Comedic relief.
Because like the movie is super long.
It is so long. Like we're still in the first act.
Yeah, this review's gonna be long.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was played for comedic relief, but the reaction from my friends and from the audience was like, no.
What? Yeah, we were all like, what the crap happened? And then the way they convinced him to go on, he asked, "Is there gonna be beer on the ship?" That had me true. I was like, oh my gosh.
So some people are not happy with how they handled Thor.
I think I'll be all right because like he lost his brother in front of his face.
He has his comeback at the end.
Yeah, he does. So I think it was well that they did him like that.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Again, it makes sense narratively for him to have done that because he's lost everything.
Yeah, literally.
He's lost everything. So beer belly aside, but anyway, they take him back to the Avengers facility. They hatch their plan to go back in time, and as you alluded to earlier, when they go back in time and Professor Hulk, I'm going to call him Professor Hulk, even though they don't say it in the film, that's what he is. Professor Hulk says, okay, when you go back in time, you don't change your own past, you create a new timeline, which is consistent with the way that real-world quantum physicists have posited that time travel could work, other than there is a way that you could have a closed loop where, an effect comes before a cause, but that's much more dubious. This, if the multiverse theory, and that's what they're going for, is all, parallel universes, this would be consistent with that, and this is consistent with, like I said, quantum physics.
Yeah.
At least is established thus far. So, I guess, do they pretty much formulate their plan and figure out how to go back, and they're going to collect the stones. There's 3 in New York in 2012. There's 1, okay, let's count 3. There's 1 on Asgard.
The Avengers have 1, right?
There's 1 in, there's the Soul Stone, and then there's the the Time Stone, the Space Stone, and the Mind Stone are in New York. The Reality Stone is on Asgard. The Power Stone is on Morag, I think it's called.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Did I say Soul Stone? The Soul Stone. The Soul Stone
is on another planet.
Is on Vormir.
Yeah, Vormir.
With Hugo Weaving, who's actually, it wasn't him who played it in Red Skull.
Yeah.
It's a completely CGI character, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, in Infinity War, and presumably in this film.
Huh.
That was interesting.
I didn't know
to
that.
Me.
Wow.
Yeah, just goes to show you how far they've come.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rhodey is like, how come we just can't go back in time and kill baby Thanos? So they have a long, drawn-out thing about Back to the Future and all that shit.
Yeah, yeah, dude, when they referenced that, I was tripping. I was like, wow. You think this is Back to the Future or something?
So Tony and Scott and Cap go to New York in 2012, and which is during the battle with Loki.
I love that scene.
That was great.
Because like when Cap went in, was like Hell Hydra.
That was one of the best moments.
Because what happened? They didn't know that it was them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like with the comic books too. That was like in line with.
He was trying to convince them that I think he had taken over. Somebody had taken over. The scepter, which had the Mind Stone, or it was one of the
stones,
one of the objects,
the gems,
one of the magic things, in the movie.
Crack rock.
Yeah. But he's trying to convince. I forget the names of those people, but it's some
Hydra.
of the people. No, I know. I'm talking about the people in the elevator.
Oh
Who do end up being Hydra actually.
Yeah.
So that's why he does it. Because he's gone through that. He's experienced that.
Knows.
So that was cool. But they think that he is Loki because Loki is is a shapeshifter, and so Cap fights his younger self. So that's an interesting scene, and he tells him Bucky is alive.
What?
Now, that doesn't really go anywhere, I don't think.
Why did he say that? Was it to?
I think he was trying
to convince himself.
To convince him that it's him, because that's something that it's it's questionable as to whether Loki would know that.
Yeah. Because the only person that would know it's him.
I guess it's kind of a non sequitur almost. It's in service of him trying to complete the mission. So meanwhile, Tony and Scott are in Tony's loft, you know, in the tower where the Avengers are gathering after the battle to, I guess, celebrate with the drink or whatever. And so they hint at a certain internet meme in this film, but they don't do it exactly the way that people.
I'm trying to remember.
America's ass.
Oh, dude, yes.
So there's obviously, if you don't remember the thing, how come Ant-Man doesn't just go inside of Thanos' colon and expand? Well, there is ass play in this film. It's a different ass, and it's yeah. But anyway, they comment on Captain America's tight butt.
But yeah.
Scott has to get inside of a briefcase that's carrying the Space Stone, or in the Tesseract, and so he does. He launches off of Tony's shoulder, and he's inside. So they're transporting it, and he basically has to get them to deliver the Tesseract to a point where Cap and everybody from the future can take it. However, there is a sort of a misstep somewhere along the way.
Because they mess up and now they got to go farther back in time.
Yeah, the briefcase shatters, it opens, and Loki steals the Tesseract and goes off with it. Meanwhile, Hulk is actually talking with the Ancient One, the Sorcerer Supreme from Doctor Strange, Tilda Swinton, to try and convince her to give him the Mind Stone. I mean the Time Stone.
Yeah.
That rhymed. So, but so she says, "Look, I can't let you have this because it's gonna if it leaves here, bad things are gonna happen." However, he reveals that Stephen Strange did give up the Mind Stone to Thanos, and she gets convinced that he had to have done that for a reason. So she relinquishes it. She can see forward in time, but only to her own death, which is a big point in Doctor Strange. So that's why she didn't know that he gave it away. She knows that he becomes, a sorcerer or whatever, because she says right now he's, you're about 3 years too early. He's practicing medicine, a few blocks away. So she can see to her own death, but not beyond that. So she relinquishes the Time Stone. So they have the Time Stone. I don't think, do they get the Mind Stone? I think they get the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter. However, the Tesseract is gone, so they have to go back in time even further. However, before we see that, meanwhile, in 2014, Nebula and Rhodey are on Morag,
and they're gonna get
the Power Stone, which Peter Quill got in the first Guardians movie. So they see him, with his Walkman.
And they're like, God dang, this dude's an idiot.
That was great to see that interplay. But there is an issue. So they get the I think they kind of incapacitate him temporarily. So they get the Power Stone.
However, her memories are being
as they're about to go back to the present, Rhodey successfully shrinks back and goes to the present. However, Nebula is hacked, physically, by her father Thanos, who has detected that they are present because of.
Why is there more than one Nebula or something like that?
Yeah, well, it's because there's 2023 Nebula and there's 2014 Nebula are present here at the same time. So Nebula and Gamora from 2014, this alternate 2014, are present on their father's ship, so he detects, because there's like a link. I guess you could call it a quantum entanglement or something between both nebulas. So he sees her, and so he prevents her from going back, and she proceeds to get captured. Now, this has come to be argued as kind of a plot hole among some people, because they say, well, she knows that he finds out. How come she doesn't shrink back after she's been shot? I could come up with two explanations. Now, I've only seen the film once, but something could have prevented her from shrinking, or B, even if she could, if she went back, he could have still figured out a way to follow her, I guess. So again, narratively speaking, this is something that just kind of has to happen.
Even if she went back, he still would have had the information like, hey, these folks are going back in time.
Yeah.
So he would have thought of a plan.
He would have figured it out because, he had his scientists or, Ebony Maw or whatever figure out how to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not really as much of a plot hole as maybe a convenience, but even at that, it's
still
something that is necessary for the story to happen,
Yeah.
and I think it narratively works, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to address nitpicks and criticisms from people, but anyway. So meanwhile, on Vormir, I guess it's Natasha and Clint. They're trying to get the Soul Stone.
And she kills him. She kills herself.
She kills herself because then they're like having a battle to the death, literally, to figure out who will sacrifice themselves. Because Clint wants to do it because he doesn't want Natasha to die. However, Natasha doesn't want him to die because he still has stuff to live for. He still has his kids. They're trying to bring them back, and she at present does not have any surviving family that we know of. So she sacrifices herself, and that's how we get the Soul Stone. Meanwhile.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Like,
Yeah.
since Gamora died in Infinity War, it's pretty much the past Gamora. Like how does that work?
Yeah. So Gamora. So in the Russos basically said that the deaths in Infinity War, not from the snap, but the actual deaths, are permanent. They meant it. Loki's still dead. Gamora's still dead. Vision's still dead. So that's just how it is now. So the third Guardians movie, which is coming up in like 2022 or something like that, I can only imagine that they're going to have to tackle that. I mean, Gamora's dead. There's this alternate Gamora, I guess, who exists now.
Yeah.
So
how would that work in the timeline? Because would she just fade away since she's not supposed to exist
well,
in that time? In that universe, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. How these alternate timelines that they create, they they try to mend it in the end when Kat goes back with the stones to return them. However, there's some things that are irrevocably changed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they're going to tackle that.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. And anyway, on Asgard, Rocket and Thor, Fat Thor, are
goes in.
They're trying to get the Reality Stone from whoever had it in Thor: The Dark World. Now, this is one of the movies we talked about. This not one of Marvel's best.
It was not.
But I did think it was interesting how they had the scenes with his mother, Frigga, who is the namesake of Friday.
Wow, Frigga Friday.
Yeah, because these are the Norse gods. Thursday, Odin Wednesday,
Yeah.
Sunday, Monday are self-explanatory. Tuesday, I can't figure out.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Quick Google search.
Loki. No, I'm just kidding. Loki's day. They're getting the Reality Stone, and Natalie Portman is there. She doesn't have any lines because these are deleted scenes, I think, from the other movie. But Frigga sees her son, who is from the future, and she is like, she knows, because he has to tell her that he's from the future, but she's like, she understands that her time is coming to an end because he wants to prevent her from dying, and that's he really struggles with that. So that's a scene we're having an emotional moment. We were talking about that earlier, where it's a heartfelt moment between them. Mm-hmm. After that, they pretty much have to skedaddle, get out of there.
Yeah, because it has to happen.
It has to happen. I guess we'll talk about when they go to the 1970s.
Yeah.
So Stan Lee has his cameo, his final cameo of the MCU, and it goes by fairly quickly, as do a lot of his. But it's heartfelt. To see him there.
This is also the scene where Iron Man talks to his dad, right?
Yeah, Iron Man meets his dad, Howard Stark, who is played by the same actor that portrayed him in Iron Man 2. And so they connect. Now, he doesn't reveal who he is, of course, to his father.
But it's just...
But it's emotional because, he has this deep connection. Growing up, it was kind of distant, but after his father's death. You know, he found out that his father cared deeply about him. I mean, he really did. What
really made that scene more impactful too is that now Tony Stark has a daughter, and he's telling his dad, like his dad is asking him, hey, you know, how's
advice?
This whole... And that was, man, whoever wrote that scene like deserves an Oscar because that was really, really good.
Yeah, so they really put in these heartfelt moments. It's, you know, it's just like Scott with his daughters. You know, it's heartfelt. And
there was also another scene when he went back in. Remember when he went back in time to and he called his daughters, but then he shrunk back, and he was like, "Dad, what?"
Yeah,
that was really good.
That was Clint, wasn't it? Yeah. Again, another really moment. But anyway, they get the Space Stone because it's locked in this facility in New Jersey.
I like how Cap just gets it, but he's like staring at his girl, like.
Yeah, so he sees Peggy Carter, and so that gives him the idea that later in the film we see he travels back to another alternate timeline to live out a full life with Peggy.
And my God, dude, like that was really, really sweet. Like, but he still loses her in the end because she dies.
Yeah, but at least he got to spend
the time
with her that he wanted to.
Wow,
and man. And he comes back as an old man in the end. We'll get to that, you know, as we talk about the final act. But a group of people has returned to the future. They're still missing Nebula, I guess, who is being, you know, pretty much captured and tortured in alternate 2014. Yeah. So Ebony Maw, who was in Infinity War, he was the one that Tony called Squidward. You know, he figures out a way to reverse engineer these PIM particles to make more so they can go forward in time, or I guess to the. Again, it's kind of tricky because they're going to an alternate future. It's not their own future because it's a new timeline, but they go to. So some mechanics are required for that. But anyway, they go to where this other nebula came from, and so. Everybody else has pretty much returned. Now, I think at this point, Rhodey, I don't know if it's Rhodey, but somehow Nebula does get back, but
it's not the real her.
It's the other one impersonating her. So that's part of the plan. They return to the Avengers facility. They pretty much think that they've got everybody. They assemble this gauntlet that has all the stones now that they have them that Banner, you know, uses to snap. So Tony says, okay, there are my conditions. You can't erase what has already happened. You can just bring back the people who were lost because he doesn't want his daughter to disappear, you know?
Wow, yeah.
So he snaps. Now this scene was leaked onto the internet. I saw it and like
really, I feel so bad, dude. Are you for real?
So it was some showing in like Saudi Arabia or somewhere because they had Arabic subtitles. Somebody leaked it in the replies of some post on Twitter, and I was like, I can't look. So I saw that scene coming, but I will say it didn't ruin it for me because I was curious how they were gonna get there.
See,
you know.
My thing, dude, I never went on social media like for the first week.
I tried my best to avoid, as I'm sure you know.
I was so scared. Like every time I went on, because you know they have the early showings like a day before. The second I went on YouTube, Endgame theories, Endgame this, I was like, bro, we haven't even seen it yet. Like,
I know the movie's not even out
down, yet. Y'all.
So but anyway, he snaps. They brings back everybody who was lost in the snap. So Scott goes to the window and sees some birds, you know,
coming back,
you know, in the trees, and is like, oh, they're back.
Yeah.
Clint gets a call from his wife.
Yeah, she's so
people that was
back. Really good.
And then.
My boy comes in, Thanos. Yo, he said some of the coolest stuff. He was like, bro, even after all this. I
am inevitable.
Yeah, he said, like, bro, after all y'all done, y'all came straight back to me. I was like, he's a good
He is
good
one of the most quotable. Some people are saying he could end up being, now it's too early to tell, but he could end up being the Darth Vader of this generation. Just because of how well fleshed out his character has been.
He was really well written.
Yeah.
And like he didn't even like, and the way it was too, like his character isn't, I wouldn't necessarily say evil.
Well, I
You would say evil?
Yeah,
I'll
I mean, he's
say
a genocidal maniac. I mean,
Well, I would say this. I would say
he thinks that what he's doing is righteous, though.
Yeah, I would say like the way he's written.
Disturbed. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the comic books, his history, but the way I would describe him, it's weird. Like I feel like with Thanos, if he was like a real person, you could literally sit down and talk to him.
He's like Kim Jong-un almost.
Yeah.
Except on a wider scale, because Kim Jong-un doesn't have, he's focused on, oppressing his own people.
Yeah.
Whereas Thanos is like Space Hitler almost. But it's not even that, because that's not even the best analogy, because Thanos at least has class in mind.
Yeah, because it's so weird, because like Thanos he is evil, but that he has some sort of compassion.
He has a moral, ethical code that he goes by, which is that he thinks what he's doing is right, and in his mind, his twisted mind, he wants this to work. He wants things to be better.
Because people could easily say, why don't you just double the supply of food and resources?
Or at the very least, he just wants to be right, Because he can say he's a narcissist, and you could say that he's definitely an ideologue. Or he's committed to this idea that like
if I kill half of everything,
the other half will
be okay,
prosper. Now there's some precedent for not this working, because we see that it doesn't work in the film, but like historically, the Black Death did lead
did
to
a lot
some
of really good things,
socioeconomic reforms in Europe that led to
people were being wealthier.
It basically kind of started a domino effect towards capitalism, developing, which, for some people that's also not a good thing, but anyway, we won't talk about that.
We won't talk about
that. But anyway, Thanos is here.
Just messing up Earth.
Yeah, messing up Earth, and they basically, since everybody's back, I think Strange shows up, and then Wong shows up. All the sorcerers show up, and they start bringing back
the ultimate scene.
Peter, Drax,
everybody just starts coming back.
Black Panther, Bucky, Falcon, everybody.
Like we're smiling because like that scene was just so memorable. Like having all of them just come out like
it's like Lord of the Rings. It's one of the biggest, probably one of the most expensive scenes in film ever produced, I would imagine.
Because like everybody lost it when Black Panther came back and his whole goon squad comes and everybody just fighting.
Oh yeah, definitely. my theater loved that. Absolutely.
Yeah, same.
And we see another big moment. Cap is worthy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's worthy.
Yes. When the funniest part was like, no, have the small one.
Have the small one. So yeah, he picks up Stormbreaker, and Thor's like, no, here, have the small one. So he handles Mjolnir, which he stole from 2013 Asgard. That's later returned.
I love how they did that whole scene too, when the glove gets lost again, and I'm sitting there just like, oh my god, if this happens again. I'm just sitting down thinking, and Thanos
14,605.
and Thanos is just sitting down. Like when he realizes that the gauntlet was in their hand, he just sits down and just like, all right, bet, go get it. That's all he does. And then he does fight a little bit, but like just him coming to Earth and just sits down and it's just like, all right, go get it.
Tony has another gauntlet that
he made
is assembled where all the stones are put in. Now they get them from
they get Hulk to wear the glove, right?
Well, it was Hulk, and then the stones themselves, Thanos almost had his hand on them,
Yes.
Yeah. So but they're able to get them, and Tony has pretty much the culmination of his entire arc in this one moment where Thanos says, "I'm inevitable," and he tries to snap and it doesn't work, and Tony's like, well, I'm Iron Man. Yeah.
Hey.
So, coming back full circle. And
that was so cool, man.
Yeah, that's again that's the climax, right there is that right there. So Captain Marvel shows up out of the blue and I guess goes straight through the ship and destroys it. And they toss the gauntlet around or something like that. And then she leaves again.
Oh God,
it's like she
what was the point?
It's almost as if she shouldn't even be in this movie. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna get hate comments.
Well,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
let me abate those real quick, because let me say in her defense, I mean, this is a character that they've been trying to introduce for a really long time. They actually, I don't think they cast Brie Larson in 2015, but they were going to introduce her in Age of Ultron. They waited, and I think it was mostly Ike Perlmutter, who was the head of Marvel Entertainment, didn't want a Black Panther or Captain Marvel movie to be made because he didn't think it would sell. Well, he was clearly wrong about that. Captain Marvel's made $1 billion, and Black Panther did exceptionally well.
How much did that make? Like a billion?
I don't know if it crossed $1 billion or not. We'll have to see. But like, they were both massively successful financially. Yeah, so she leaves. She's gone. She's not even there at the end, I don't think. But Tony makes a sacrifice, and Thanos and his army and all that, they disappear. They're dusted. So he's lost. So now, in both timelines, there is no Thanos. How that does make me question what exactly is going to happen in some of the alternate timelines that they created, especially the one in New York, and then the one in Asgard, the one especially the one the Guardians, the 2020 alternate 2014, where they pretty much have in that timeline nixed the events of the Guardians movies, because or maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, they're gonna really have to explain that, because if they don't, we're gonna get on them. I will.
Yeah.
What I think might happen though is, like, when they do start the movie, it might be like, hey, I'm not supposed to exist in this time.
Or something like that. Yeah. But as far as the ending of this film,
it's really
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Now I will say, and we talked about this beforehand, I did something that I shouldn't have done, which is I let myself get distracted by the third act and the ending. I thought that they were going to take it in a different direction, and I was almost, as the events were unfolding and as Tony died and everything, I thought, wait, how? Okay, but they've got to fix it. There are still things to do. But no, I mean, they did. That's the way they did it. They had his funeral.
Yeah,
that's his send off. So
I think when he was talking to Doctor Strange in the midst of the fight, he looked at him and said, "There's only one.
There's only one, and this is it. This is the way."
I guess that was foreshadowing his death in a way.
Pretty much.
Because it took a lot of power for him to use the stone, and when he finally used it, he just passed. And, man, they always it's sad that he died, because him and Spider-Man really had a really a father-son thing.
They did,
on.
and that's definitely. I mean, we saw in the Far From Home trailer that recently came out that's going to impact him. Tony Stark's absence has a profound impact on Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau is going to be in it. Samuel L. Jackson is going to be in it. So they're going to keep this going. This is not the end.
This is
not the end.
But God, man, it's going to be a lot of getting used to the new Iron Man or woman that they put in, because Tony Stark, real life, was Iron Man.
Yeah, and I have to say also that I had conflicted feelings about the ending of this film.
Same.
The fact that they brought everybody back, and everybody that was snapped was, they're just permanently 5 years younger than they would have been.
Whoa, they are.
Yeah, so half of Peter's classmates have graduated or are in college. That's weird.
It is weird.
It's weird. It's disturbing almost. Clint gets his family back. Tony obviously dies, but his daughter continues.
There was
to
a
live.
fan.
Scott gets his daughter back, but she had been present. She's aged, but yeah.
A fan was telling me that Iron Man's daughter might play a significant role in the Marvel universe. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think...
I tend to agree with you, actually, on that.
I think he wants her to be out of all that crap. He wants her to live a normal life, because, maybe if he was alive and being... if she was alive to, be her dad and stuff like that, she might be in the Marvel MCU universe. I could see that happening, because at the end of the day, like, she will get into the technology because he's there. And now that he's gone, you know, I feel like his best wishes is for her he doesn't want her to be like him. I know that for sure. He doesn't want her to be involved in any of the nonsense he's been in.
Yeah.
So I can see why she wouldn't be really involved in there. And I think that's a good route for them to take.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've kind of gotten used to the ending in terms of, you know, just letting it marinate in my head and just think, well, and we were talking about this beforehand, you know, there's a double meaning, I think, to when Strange says, you know, there's only one way to win. There's one way, you know, in the story for them to be able to undo the snap, but also this is the only way from a filmmaking perspective or screenwriting perspective that they could have handled it, because if they had done what I thought they might do, which is erase the original snap from happening, that would have erased you know, the tension from Infinity War. Whereas the way that they did it, you know, in Endgame, by bringing everybody back just de facto, you know, having them there, Infinity War gets preserved as its own thing, and it still matters. It's still relevant.
It's still,
it doesn't get erased. You know,
it still fits the plot.
Yeah.
I like Marvel. They did a good job with Endgame. It's just it was like you said, a lot of filler.
Yeah, this had much more filler. This did not need to be 3 hours.
Because it really did.
Whereas Infinity War was better paced. There was like every scene had stuff in it that was purposeful.
And all the characters had a task. Like it made sense.
Whereas here we're like joking about tacos and
they literally should have just
I mean, you know,
it should have been serious. I wish they kept the tone more serious because we had a lot of jokes, like especially Thor. I mean, Hulk. You know, they should have kept it serious. Like, hey, you know, we can't BS. The time travel stuff should have been in there. I mean, it was in there. It was serious and stuff. Oh
yeah. You also have to think this is a Disney film at the end of the day.
Dang.
Yeah. So that, you know, and they have to market this to children as well. You know, in addition to the. You know, people say these movies are made for kids. They're made for teenagers, really.
Really, yeah.
And then guys like us who are interested in this.
My thing is this though, like, do you think that since Disney acquired Marvel, we might see more of a what is it called? A censoring of things? Like,
it's possible. Now, I think that they will continue to make. Like, if they make another Deadpool movie, it's not going to be rated PG-13. I think they'll keep it rated R, even though Disney releases it. Because Disney has released R-rated films in the past. They would just have to keep it as a separate brand, you know, which it kind of, I mean, the Deadpool X-Men universe is, you know, in the public consciousness is fairly separate from the Avengers because, now, unfortunately, what Sony is doing, they did Venom, and people, I think, the reason it was so successful is I think people kind of mistook it for an MCU film, which it wasn't. However, with Peter Parker being in the MCU now, there could be some crossover, and I think that's what Sony is going for, actually. Yeah, especially with Into the Spider-Verse, they showed, you know, multiverse exists. So the future is uncertain. What I know for sure, they're going to keep introducing new heroes, obviously. They're going to keep making sequels to, like, Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy and probably Thor as well, which would be interesting.
And Captain America, too. Like, the ending really... Yeah. The ending for Captain America really shocked me. Like, I understood he was going to go back in time, but I thought Bucky was going to be the next Captain America.
I did too. People commented on that, and the fact that it's Falcon kind of makes more sense, though, as people pointed out, because, you know,
in the comic book,
it's him. Bucky's a terrorist, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's so true.
Well, so is Captain America, as the gym teacher from Spider-Man: Homecoming points out, or he's a war criminal, you know. But Bucky's a terrorist, so that still would have been interesting, though.
Yeah.
Captain America is now, you know, being now viewed, but yeah, the aged Steve Rogers, I think that was nice.
And like future wise, I wonder, like, like on a, no, I'm not trying to get political, but I wonder how it's gonna really affect like people seeing Marvel now, because to have like now, because you know tensions are pretty serious like when it comes to race relations now. So my thing is like, you know, we have a black man as the face of Captain America. So like that itself is a really big political, like, I mean, at the time when I was watching the movie, I didn't think about it. I was really shocked. I was really shocked, like, oh my God, he's Captain America. But like they really left a big statement. Like they
did. They did.
When you really sit and think about it. I'm not trying to get too political, but I'm just, you know, just something to think about.
Well, I think you make a good point though, which is that now he is going to be, if they continue the franchise, he will be the face of that franchise, and that's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it was just because like after I watched the movie, I really dwelled on it. You know, we got Black Panther, but he has his own thing. But
he's in Wakanda.
Yeah, and then we have Captain America, but yet, you know, he's black. Like, I didn't think they would take that route.
And then Rhodey is still around.
Yeah.
You know, I think the next Iron Man is probably going to be.
I'm thinking it's going to be the girl from Wakanda, because the.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be this Ironheart character from the comics. Because Kevin Feige has kind of hinted at that. People. Here's the thing: some of the newer characters that are being introduced in the Marvel comics. This is from what I understand. I mean, I don't read.
Yeah, I don't read the comics neither.
But this is just from what I've seen. People are not, like, the character development is like kind of lackluster, and people aren't really happy. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be incorporated well into the MCU.
That's true.
You know,
because there's always differences between the movie and the comic books, of course. Yeah. But man, I don't know. It's just gonna be really, really difficult for them.
And it's gonna be a weird universe with all these people who've been dead for 5 years that are now back and being integrated back into the population.
But I think that what they should do though, like with all of them, like, of course you're gonna miss the old ones. We've already gotten used to, you know, the old crew. So when they do introduce the new people, make them original. Like, don't try to make them a copy of the past. Like,
and I think they are going to do that. They are going to introduce characters who
give us something
who are independent of the established Avengers.
Because what I would like to see is give us something unique that make us cling on to them. Like, we all like Iron Man because he's a smart ass. You know, he's literally a smart ass, and he's like, he's kind of cool at times.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people love that. So. And as far as with the other characters too, like, give us something that we've seen before, like, well, not seen before,
that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, give us something we haven't seen before. You know, just make it original and make it genuine.
Yeah,
because that's why we fell in love with them. They were genuine, like they felt like real people.
Yeah, and that just really is a testament to the acting. Yeah, you know, that has been on display. So. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the end of this Avengers quadrilogy. It's the end. It's not the end of Phase 3. That's the next Spider-Man movie, which I don't know. It's everything.
Tie everything together.
Everything after this seems like it could be somewhat derivative. However, we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah.
You know,
like, I love Marvel, and I'm going to definitely, like, I mean, I'm going to support them. I'm still going to see the new movies. You know.
Yeah,
so.
and I'd like to see how they integrate some of the new properties that they've acquired, like Fantastic Four, like X-Men. I'm confident they'll do it right. However, I don't know how.
Yeah, how would they do it?
I think some of it might even work better as, like, TV shows. You know.
Yeah.
Which they're quite successful with.
Yeah, they have a few. Forgot some.
Well, they have new shows premiering on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which there's a Loki series, there's a Scarlet Witch and Vision series, there's a Captain America, or Bucky and Falcon. You know, they're gonna, I guess, follow up on Bucky Falcon being the new Captain America. But like, so a lot of new stuff.
Yeah,
coming
new
up.
stuff to look forward to, and I can't wait for what's gonna happen. I really
So
can't.
what did you think overall of this film? I thought Infinity War was better.
Yeah, I thought Infinity War was better too. But what really got me in Endgame was the final scene.
Oh yeah.
That final, I mean,
100%.
that's I feel like that's like the most iconic movie scene. I don't want to say of the century, but of the decade.
I think that really my favorite parts were probably, they had to have been, when they were going back in time to these
the
previous
different
films.
I really love that too.
Yeah.
It was like 2014 New York.
They handled it well. There was concern, obviously, about being time travel that, that's like a
cliche
plot
they
device.
did it great.
They handled it the only way that I think they could have, and to make it
Honestly,
work.
because I really couldn't see any other way of them figuring out. And then once Thanos said he destroyed the stones and they can't be built back on a molecular level, I was like, wow, like they're really screwed.
They are.
So
you guys are so screwed now.
he just chopped his head off. Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I didn't like. Like Thanos should have been more in there. Like he like when they
should have either had him
kill him. They should have tortured him or something, or keep I escaped now and you guys got the stones for me. Great.
Or something like that, or the way, because the 2014 Thanos, he hasn't met any of these characters, he doesn't know them, so it's he's almost a different person, which is both a good and a bad thing, because it would be hard to top, what they did in Infinity War, which is I think what we're saying is that they can't. Like that movie will always be superior.
Yeah.
But
do you think that this movie was kind of damn? They were already done filming Endgame.
Well, they filmed them back to back.
Yeah. So do you?
I think I don't want to say this. Were you going to say not rush?
I was going to say rush.
Well.
For 3 hours, you can't really say it's rush for 3 hours, but consistency.
Yeah, it was not. I think they were getting tired.
Yeah. I could see that. They were like, God.
But that being said, I mean, I think it was handled well.
Yeah.
In terms of the overarching plot.
It could have been better.
It could have been a tighter script. You could have removed. I'm not even saying remove the Fortnite and the dabbing and all that. Like you can keep that in.
Yeah, that was.
Get rid of some of the slower parts.
Like them getting depressed about there's not a lot of people. Like y'all superheroes y'all be fine. Everybody's coming back.
Like some of the scenes in this film just seem like ones that you would say, okay, well that's like a deleted scene on the Blu-ray, or something like that. Whereas, and actually, if they had made it shorter, they could have made more money.
Doing that, selling that because.
But they're already, as we were discussing beforehand,
$2 billion now.
It's the second highest grossing movie of all time. In fact, I want to see. Let me check Box Office Mojo.
Disney's gonna always be the face of the highest grossing movie.
The highest right now is Avatar at 2.7 billion, something like that. This is at over 2.5 billion. I can't load it on here. Oh no, here.
And they're still topping the box office. As we speak.
So they're like less than 200 million away, I think, from beating Avatar at this point. At least when we're recording this. Their next weekend is coming up as we're recording this. It'll likely have passed, so it could be. It'll definitely be closer by the time this video comes out, if it hasn't already surpassed. But I think it will become the highest grossing movie of all time. This has been a fun 11 years, of Marvel. Even though I don't know when you got into it. I got into it
with the very first Iron Man.
I got into it with Guardians, so I was kind of a latecomer. But having gone back and watched everything, a really fun little universe that they've created here.
It is.
And so, thank you guys so much for watching this video, this long review. I don't know how I'm going to put it together, but
we'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. I have some more Star Trek videos and Fringe videos in the works, which should be premiering on this channel in the coming weeks / months. They'll be here. Don't worry. Dread it. Run from it. Their eyes all the same. They'll be here.
Yeah.
I hope if you haven't watched our review of the other 20-something films in the MCU,
watch them,
you can watch that as well.
Watch them while you take a shower or you're driving.
Yeah, just listen to it like a podcast, Because anyway, this has been fun. So we'll see you next time with some more content. So.
All right, guys. Peace.